Today's episode is brought to you by Modern Grower. Modern Grower is the go-to source for 100% organic, GMO-free microgreen seeds. Trusted by hundreds of growers for high quality and low prices. If you're growing microgreens, start saving at shop.moderngrower.co. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between hot compost and cold compost?
Yeah. So, with hot compost, we're putting straw down the bottom. This allows oxygen to come in. We're building up a lot of the anaerobic bacteria inside the compost. And the anaerobic bacteria is very good at breaking the stuff down. So hot composts are wonderful. They're fast and they're wonderful. And the end product that you get is really nice. If you're doing a cold compost, again, it depends on where you are climatically. If I was in the tropics and I did a cold compost, it would break down a lot quicker and it would be a lot closer in effect to a hot compost. Where we are, cold composts are very slow. They take over a year and they are broken down mainly by anaerobic bacteria. So that is more like lactobacillus end of that spectrum. So I buy in like an EM, and we breed up the EM using certified organic molasses because it doesn't contain any sulfates, which affects microbes. So I'll get a liter of certified organic molasses, a liter of like an EM. Then we'll add those with 18 liters of water. We'll put them onto a beer mat just to heat them up for a few weeks at minimum until we see a good growth of fungi on the top. And then we know we've bred up. It's a cheap, effective way of us making a quick 20 litres of microbes without costing a lot of money. And when we do that to the EM, we lose a lot of the diversity of the microbial strains, but we end up with a lot of lactobacillus. So it's just perfect for adding to anaerobic compost. And you could just use like a piece of rebar or a crowbar or something like that and just make some holes in the compost, pour in a litre of microbes here and a litre of microbes there.
So you just have a pile of organic matter that's sitting there, and then periodically you're introducing this lactobacillus to it.
Yeah, it's probably already there. Really, what we're doing is we're just enhancing what nature does. But yeah, so this is our anaerobic veggie scraps, pretty much, that have come out of our garden, out of either our garden or our market garden or whatever.
And at the end of the year, if you had a bucket of cold compost and a bucket of hot compost, both finished in front of you, could you tell the difference between the two?
Yeah, absolutely. Which is really because of how they were made. So often with the cold compost, we're pulling out the ends of the crop residue. So it tends to be sandier, grit, and doesn't have that sugary smell as much. Whereas the humified or the hot compost has, is more humate rich, I would say, is much more chocolatey, sort of breaks apart. It's got that beautiful sort of humus foresty smell. And so what I tend to do is, and in fact this year, for the first time, because I have so much old cold compost and I've got a decent amount of hot compost there, I'm not going to buy in any commercial compost. So we normally buy in about 15 cubic meters to cover our 100 or so permabeds. This year we're just going to use our own stuff for the first time. There might be some weed seed in there. I'll be adding the bulk of the compost to the heavy feeder beds anyway, sort of like our tomatoes, zucchinis, cucumbers, corn or garlic. Most of those things I tend to have under a weed mat anyway. So that'll sort of stale bedded if there is a seed in there anyway. And by the time we turn it into like a light feeding bed next year, it should be okay as far as weed seed goes.
Do you think a grower should make both types or try to source both types? Or is cold compost just one way of saying, I want to make my own compost, but I don't want to spend a lot of time making compost. And at the end of the day, I'll still end up with something I can use just without all the work.
Yeah. To be successful, you really need to be pragmatic and work out, what are your resources and really get the value of your resources. So on my farm, occasionally, because, we grow veggies, we don't have livestock here. I can't cut a straw on my farm, so I need to buy in the straw. So, but I want to make some hot compost. I can make cold compost all day long just from the stuff that I've got there. Every so often, when we've got a lot of new growth, like grass or whatever, and there's a lot of straw available that's cheaper, and I can easily get a lot of manures or something like this, then I'll make a hot compost. So I'm doing both. It's the same with the stable carbon. I can buy in powdered humic acid or powdered fulvic acid or granular fulvic acid, and then I can make biochar. But I do both. So what I say to everyone is, use whatever means you've got, and if you've got means to do a couple of different things, then do a couple of different things.
Hello, growers. If you enjoy podcasts like this one, tune into my podcast In Search of Soil on YouTube for a deep dive into the mysteries beneath our feet. Join me as I explore topics such as mycorrhizal fungi, mushrooms, compost, biochar, and more. It's a soil nerd's dream. We're going deep. We're talking to scientists about all things soil related. Whether you're a seasoned farmer or a gardener just starting out, our podcast has something for everyone. Listen in and grow with us. Check out In Search of Soil on YouTube.